Hello, everybody. This is Christopher Phillips, Mr. Socrates Cafe, or Dr. Socrates Cafe. I have a PhD. And this is Cafe Aretista. And Aretista is my own coinage. The Hellenic Greek term arete is somebody who strives for all-around excellence in all dimensions of life. Someone with a social conscience who wants to help others be all they can be, and they feel like that also helps them be all they can be. And so my guest today, and I've caught her totally off guard, she's so cool, so open, and Aretista is an openness. She says, I'm down with it. Is Alondra Gonzalez, who's a student at Wartburg College. And
Correct.
Alondra, I got this extraordinary email from you the other day. And if I'm understanding it right, you are the last philosophy major standing at your college.
Correct. I am class of 2021. I'm a third year here, and I'm the last one. There were like a couple or three people that graduated last year with it, maybe a few minors here and there, but like as of right now, and that is the last, I will be the last one leaving here with my major of philosophy.
How did it happen? How did this happen, this tragic state of affairs?
It's horrible. I think it's a deficiency of focusing on this department. They have focused on like STEM majors, communication majors, and the sports. It's always mostly undermined what this department offers, which I think is a lot. Anything that anyone should actually care about for any of their fields that they're gonna go into.
Right, totally. I mean, that's what undergraduate studies is supposed to be all about. Um, Hold on just one second. It says your it said all of a sudden that my connection was unstable. So I think I've switched it. So we'll just go with it, and I won't even splice it. I'll just show us frozen for a minute. So here's the thing. Okay, so they at least are keeping their word to you that you can graduate
Correct.
with that. But after you, that's it.
Yes. After me, that's it. And even if um, they recently haven't renewed the contract of my advisor, which was the last philosophy professor, so they're still gonna need to hire a new one, and I still need to take like 3 more classes. So it's gonna be an adventure. I don't know where I'm gonna land. I hope they don't give me religion professors, um,
Yeah, I
because
mean
their
that
emphasis
happens a
is
lot.
elsewhere.
Yeah, a lot of them are now blended in a way that, no offense to religion professors, but it ain't the same.
No, the emphasis is it's completely different, and we see it in a different lens.
Yeah. Now, I know many who practice philosophy as warmed over theology, and that don't even get me started about that. I respect them deeply, but I think we have to make distinctions between these things.
There's
Now,
complete distinctions, yes.
so Alondra, how did you even come to become interested in philosophy? What's your story?
I came in here just because I needed to get a major. I needed to graduate, needed to go to college. That's a thing. That's a social construct that we all follow. Needed to follow to make my parents proud, right? I didn't know what I wanted to be. I started as a J&Com major, which is journalism and communications. I love to communicate. I didn't like the media aspect, so I dropped that. Then I started with sociology. I really liked that. However, it didn't feel as challenging, and it felt very surface level to me. And I've been having a philosophy minor this whole time, and made the switch last year as if a classmate suggested after, because I was so into our class, which was ancient and medieval philosophy. There was a class in which it was like 7 of us, and they were all like philosophy emphasized individuals, either a minor or a major. So it was intensive, and it was very big on discussion group, and it was a very small intimate group, and everybody was very passionate about it. So I think that's what brought me back into it, where I was like, you know what, you're right. Like, this is something that I thoroughly enjoy, and I should make it a part of like the emphasis that I want to be a part of
That
as
is so
to
cool.
graduate.
Well, I know you're a young woman and I'm a 60-year-old man, but you remind me of me.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's exactly what I went through. I
How?
mean, I changed majors every semester, William and Mary. Majoring in what I thought I had to or what I should, and just majoring in what I realized I was passionate about.
Majored in philosophy?
Well, it's a longer story than that, but actually I did not because the professors put me to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
So I
Most definitely.
majored in
Everybody's very
government.
discouraging about it.
Yeah, I mean, they had political philosophy professors in the government department that were
Oh, but
fabulous. Oh my God, they were like,
yeah.
so I gravitated there. So I have a BA in government. I have all these degrees. I have 3 master's degrees, PhD. Um, so I'm a wacky guy too. But you're like we are kindred spirits and we've just met. This is the
It's
first time.
awesome. Yes.
So I get this email from you just a few days ago, out of the
Correct.
blue, and I'm like, you're telling me you're the last philosophy major there, that they're cutting it out, and though that you're sort of going to show them just how meaningful and important philosophy is, that you have potentially found a place in your community at a coffee house where you might be able to hold a Socrates Cafe.
Hopefully, yes, yes, this is correct. I have I've always struggled with this idea of how it's it's never open, like, within communities or within friends, even friends. I have a couple friends who are not even don't feel comfortable enough to share their opinion about things. And it's not even about like what you feel and what I feel or about what I'm attached to as a belief. It's about looking at it abstractly. At the end of the day, you're going to have your beliefs and I'm going to have my beliefs. But the fact that we are able to discuss it in a very healthy
Yeah.
manner is what I thrive in. And I wish that people could see it in that way.
We are soulmates. I believe that so much, and you'd be stunned at how few people believe that. We are like the remnant of a tradition that has been sort of cast by the wayside. And it's such a shame because I think that if our supposedly open society is going to stay open, this is exactly what we need. Look, I'm not going to change your mind. I'm not even going to try to change your mind. And maybe by
Yeah,
the mere
exactly.
fact that we just share each other's stories deeply, maybe we'll change our minds because we don't have to.
And maybe we'll just be open and find a compromise.
Open compromise,
Yeah.
higher ground, even if we leave more entrenched in our own views at the end. So what? We listen to one another. That in and of itself is transformative.
That is what matters. I also share this. I double major here, and my other major is international relations, and that is a mix of a bunch of things.
That's
And one
my
of the
thing too.
things was it,
Yeah.
and one of them is like I learn a lot about political science, and there's so many issues that arise here on campus and here in our classrooms that I thoroughly believe that if the ground was open for discussion and we all had the same mentality of thinking in this very open and not very unbiased way of thinking, we would get somewhere. We would not go in rounds, as our history has shown.
Well, these are very, very elegant, eloquent insights that I would not have had when I was your age. I think it's astonishing. Can you tell me a little bit more about your story, where you're from, and how you've gravitated to just become this incredible human being? I mean, you
Oh,
really
thank
stand
you.
out.
I am 20 years old. I am from Phoenix, Arizona. I am
I lived in
here in Waverly,
Phoenix.
Iowa, as you can tell. And I am Mexican American.
My
I
wife's
am a part
Mexican.
of a, oh, would you look at that? I am a part of a family of 8. I have 4 younger siblings, of which I'm extremely attached to. I helped raise them while I was being raised. So that was amazing. We're still very close knitted. My older sister, she has her own family now, so she's a little doing her own thing, but it's still amazing. We're still very much in touch.
Mm.
And we talk every day. So I just I'm just ready to finish so we can get back there
So, how did you get from Phoenix
to
to
Iowa. I was a part of this youth leadership program while I was in high school. It's very fascinating. I think I always just stumble upon opportunities. I never actually look up for them, right? So this opportunity arose during my AP US history class, something like that. And well, I was in it for a couple of years, and the recruit from Iowa came to us and brought us to Iowa, just to visit and this and that. And I came and I really loved it. I love the feeling, and I'm a very feelings-based person. My
Wait,
most
stop.
of my choices
Tell me about
manifest
that
from it.
feelings-based person.
It's about how you feel. It's about how things feel when you're there, and things feel with the person, with this and that. I can't really, when I feel something, I can't really give a thought process behind it. Like when I came, it just felt very welcoming. And that's how it usually feels like when I make choices like that. And it's like, I just like to hang around with this person because I feel good, It's like those kind of feeling based choices is what I make. I maybe later I'll be able to bring up a reason why, but usually my feelings are what bring about what I do and why I do things. So I came about here and it felt very welcoming, and I said, why not?
You did
And
feel
here
welcome.
I am. I did. I
And
did.
what was it about the ambiance that made you feel welcome?
I think it was a very, I think it resembled a very close knitted feeling that I had before with like that I was used to in my community.
Right.
And I love trying new things. So I was able to move states, get different outlook on life, see different ways that people are, and on the different side of the country.
Right.
And everyone was very smiley. Everybody wanted to know my name. And coming from a big city place, everybody's very much unknown. You just see faces here and there. So it was nice to be in a place where it was like they wanted to know me for who I was,
Hmm.
not just the face or the place that represented me.
And how do you feel now that do you still feel as welcome now that they have canceled the philosophy program?
I don't I don't think the welcoming aspect has anything to do with this personally. Um,
Well, somebody made a
I
decision. Somebody with
yeah,
who's I would maybe a technocrat, a bean counter, somebody.
yeah, but I mean, I can understand it logically. I
Okay.
was the last one.
Right.
The money needed to go elsewhere. It
Right.
makes sense. It makes sense,
Mm.
but it didn't make me think less welcomed. I mean, the teachers are still very helpful. They always want to like contact you, make sure you're good,
That's beautiful.
and that's what made it for me.
Now, what led you to me?
My professor, my professor of philosophy, the one that's leaving after this year, unfortunately, he's great. He's my favorite teacher. Um, he has this way of explaining things that's just amazing. Um, but he's also a great individual in of himself. And
Mm.
I brought it up to him, and I was like, listen, what do you think if I just want to make like a discussion type of philosophy group based? I don't need money from the school. I was like, I don't want to make it like a club or anything like
Mm.
this. I just want something where it's like we can talk freely and just make like something like spark in the brains of others, so we can
Mm.
just keep us going, to spark conversation. And then he's like, well, do you still have your philosophy 101 book? And I was like, yeah, I think I might have it. And somebody was there that had it, and he was like, look, well, there's this section in I don't know if you know about this, but in one of the philosophy textbooks, Intro Living with Philosophy, I think the textbook is called. And there's this small little section of Socrates Cafe. And he was like, well, look, there's this organization that does this kind of thing that you're speaking about, and I think that you should look into it. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. And then sure enough, I came to my room, saw it, and just did a little research, and then shot you an email and hope for the best.
Wow. Small world.
Small world,
I
exactly.
don't get as much. I don't get as many inquiries from young people as I used to. It's interesting now. Used to get a lot of publicity in the United States. I get most of the publicity I get is in places like Mexico, Saudi Arabia, where people are really into this kind of discourse. In the U.S., it's mostly about argument and debate. And that seems to be the obsession of the
I
media.
hate that mentality.
Here we are.
I hate to argue. I don't like it. But if done right, it could lead places.
It can. My whole point was that I'm not trying to supplant any other tradition. I'm just saying if all we do is argue, if all we do is debate, then how are we ever going to feel a greater sense of connectedness? Shouldn't we explore together first, inquire
I
together first?
genuinely I genuinely feel like arguing is just two stubborn individuals that have an issue that because of stubbornness, it will never lead anywhere. Having open discussions, I think, is where it should be.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And I feel actually, I became a dad late in life. I started Socrates Cafe late in life. I was 37. And then decades passed, and I'm still doing it. I'm still standing after 23 years, 24 years almost. And I feel like it's more important than ever in this time and climb to kind of keep fighting the good fight. So when I get a message like yours, I wanted to meet you. This is actually the first time I've ever asked after getting an email out of the blue. I just sensed that this is somebody extraordinary. And so you've already fit my conception of what an Aretista is. You're open, you're curious, you're looking for new ways to connect, and new old ways actually, that can create and build bridges in that time when people are building walls, existential walls and physical walls.
Genuinely.
So
Exactly.
so here's what I'm thinking. We're going to riff about this while we're recording. So go talk to the guy and see what he says.
Yeah.
And we have a facilitator's guide on our website, but I can also send you the link. But there's a number of things I can do. One is I can participate like by this. I can be present through Zoom and be part of it, which I would love to do. The other thing I try to do is see if I can hit up some people to send me out there so I could be part of it. But usually what I like to do is after a number of young people like you in college have started their own groups. And then what I like to do is once you started, so it's not the Chris Phillips show, I like to figure out a way to come out there and be part of it. So since this is not your last year, let's say you started and you make a commitment to keeping it going. My commitment would be to do everything I can to try to come out there too before you graduate.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. But I think it'd be better if you started it without me there. I'll send you the guide. And everybody has their own way. It's not I'm not the Socrates Cafe police. There is a guide, and there's an ethos, and there's sort of a method. But you can do it. If you've even read some of the dialogues in my books, you'll get a quick sense of what the flavor of it and the tone and tenor of it's all about. And then the guide that my wife and I wrote in English and Spanish, I think should carry you. This is not just about inquiry. It's also about careful listening. And all these things can be kind of squishy, but I think just talking to you, I think you already know and get what it's about. And you clearly have the qualities, capacities, whatever you want to call them, to do it. So my exhortation would be for you to go ahead and do it. And then I'm going to either try to figure out a way to be on it, maybe on Zoom, and honestly try to see if some people might sponsor my visit out there.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, we could definitely see how that works.
So I'll shoot you an email with some various possibilities about that. But there's some. It's funny. You're the second young woman in the last months who somehow, in a time when people don't necessarily know that I'm the one who started Socrates Cafe, hear about it and then write to me and tell me about it. And hope that I can at least offer some guidance and hopefully maybe even come out there at some point. But I really would encourage you. There's no time like now to just do it, just like that Nike commercial, and just do it. And not necessarily knowing exactly how to go about it, but just you have the right ends in mind, and you have a
Yeah.
very good heart, and just
Thank
sort
you.
of take it one step at a time, and go ahead and start realizing this dream and passion about building bridges and showing how philosophy can be such an integral part of many kinds of community life.
Most definitely. I think my thing is gonna be, it's gonna start out casual. I'd like to see if I can just get a group going, and off of like your guide, maybe like start with a few questions, or maybe just ask the people what they had in mind, what they were curious, and then maybe broaden it up to more abstractly,
Mhm.
and start conversing in that fashion. I already had one student from college reach out that he'd like to take part of it as well. He's a first year,
Wonderful.
and our professor put us in contact. So connections are starting.
That is so wonderful. Well, I have to tell you, sometimes the very first Socrates Cafe started in Montclair, New Jersey. We met on a Tuesday night at a little tiny coffee house where they were receptive. Many people had told me no, that they didn't have space, and they were huge coffee houses. Many people told me that it wouldn't work. Some of these were people are into numbers. So I would have it every Tuesday night. Sometimes one person would come, two people would come. I didn't care. They came. And I was there. I
Yeah.
showed up. I showed up one night when nobody was there. And then
And
somebody,
then you had a discussion with yourself.
well, I did. And then there's a section of my book called What's Love Got to Do with It, of my first book, Socrates Cafe.
Yeah.
And about 30 minutes late, a woman arrived and we took part in the discussion together. It was on the question, what is love? And now she's my wife.
Wow, that is
We have
amazing.
2 children. Her name
What
is
a story.
Bessie Chapa Phillips. She's from Mexico City, Mexico. She was a teacher before we met and married in an indigenous community in Chiapas, Mexico, where we lived for years. Uh, we do all these projects still with the indigenous. Uh, so there's a lot of cool connections here.
That is fascinating.
Plus,
That is a
Ceci was
really
a
great love
literacy
story.
teacher at W.T. Macon School in Phoenix when we lived there.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Where
I
do you guys
started.
reside now?
Yeah, we started a Socrates Cafe and a philosophers club at her school. So it was a beautiful experience, and I wrote most of my first book, Socrates Cafe, while living in Phoenix.
This is fascinating. This is really wild.
Very well. Well, listen, we're going to formally end this thing, but we'll stay on, and we're going to talk a little bit
Okay,
more. You are
sounds
an
good.
Aretista, and you're going to do
Thank
incredible.
you.
By the way, what do you want to do? What at this stage? What do you think you want to do after you leave the hallowed halls? Go on to what do you want to do?
I'd love to be a mentor, proceed. Right now, I'm working as a peer mentor here in the campus, and I'd like to keep that going with the youth at risk, youth that needs it,
Mm,
those that are getting out of the adoption services or foster programs.
mm,
I'd love to keep that going. I don't really care about moving very far in my career, if anything, just as long as it's something that helps.
mm.
And I like,
Wow. Well, all all I have to say is to be continued. You're an extraordinary
most
human being, and
definitely.
you give me great hope and heart for our future, genuinely. Okay, Alondra,
Thank
thanks so
you.
much.
Most definitely.
Okay.